Good evening. I'm here with Gerald Guevara. Hi, Gerald.
Hey May, how you doing?
I'm doing well over here. So you are in California right now.
Yes, sunny California. Beautiful
Mm,
California. Hmm.
Is that where you live?
Yeah, and it's just like super, like it's a very clear day right now, so it's a very timely interview here because like things are clear right now.
Beautiful. Would you like
Yeah,
to introduce yourself and tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and why you wanted
yeah,
to do this interview tonight?
yeah, sure. Well, my name is Gerald Guevara, and first and foremost, I'm a passionate speaker, and I've been called to speak by just the very nature of my journey and how it's unbelievable. And I realize over time, the more I speak about it, that it's remarkable and that I have something that I have to speak about. And I have a special gift with speaking to young people and with reaching out to youth. I actually have a way of captivating young audiences. So my goal is to reach out and help as many young people, go through the things that young people go through. And it
Mm,
just so happens that my journey is geared towards health, fitness, and esoteric spirituality. Just happens to be a side passion of mine that I like to mix into, my talks and my messaging. So yeah, so I'm a speaker at heart. I just happen to also work as a personal trainer to pay the bills. So that's also something that I use to help assist people with is exercise and nutrition. So yep, that's pretty much it in
Wonderful.
a nutshell. Yeah.
Thank you. How did you get into fitness and nutrition? Was it something that was instilled in you when you were young, or is it something that came at a crisis point in your
It was
life?
definitely it was definitely born out of just the bad state of health that I was. Well, it's not it's the standard American state of health and the standard American state of the medical business that I've had to witness with like I've always had a very bright mind, and it was this mind that had to witness like my parents go through like the medical system with no knowledge of nutrition. So you just get trampled all over, and every angle of it, from my mom having diabetes to having every
Mm,
joint replaced to my dad having high cholesterol, but really it's just the wrong diet, and then him having to go through triple bypass surgery. This combined with me being addicted to drugs and getting into the gang life because of just not having the wherewithal to do any extracurricular activities. So I ended up in prison by the age of 18. And it was there where I fell in love with exercise and started to realize that what I ate could affect my health and then my life. So it was born out of just a lot of dark and negativity, and just I grew up with asthma, and then realizing when I got incarcerated that the asthma was tied to dairy, and running my own experiments with dairy, and
mm,
then becoming further frustrated with these businesses and these industries, and now I speak out
mm.
about it. So it's kind of like it was all for a reason, you know.
Wow, that's amazing. And you said that when you were in prison, that's when you got really into fitness. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
curious what it was like to be getting so connected with your body while eating whatever food they gave you, and then the difference of leaving and being able to make your own food
Very
choices.
good. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're very keen with that question because it's very interesting where you think you're healthy because you work out and you're eating oatmeal every day because in prison oatmeal is the healthy food, and coffee is the healthy breakfast. And so
Mm,
as you go through these layers and layers and levels, you realize that we do the best that we can, right? And I was like the healthiest dude in prison, but I mean, how healthy can you be on all processed foods? Like 100, no fruits or vegetables at all. The water had a tint to it. So, and then we had to drink that. The water was not clear. So like we're off top, we were drinking tap water. So that was all we were drinking, 100%. So how well can you do? What I did do was exercise a lot. And now that you asked that question, I realized that I was running as a 19-year-old. I was running into injuries just
mm,
doing things like cardio and calisthenics. I was running into injuries. And now I'm starting to realize, like, wait, why were my joints having pain, like, at that time when I was doing nothing compared to what I'm doing today, where I'm living off like 90% fruit, and I'm doing way more activity, way more things with the martial arts. So now I know, like, okay, what is all this fluoride and calcification and processed foods and meat and dairy and all that actually contributing to the injuries? And now that I have this personal trainer background for 7 years, I can absolutely ascertain that, and I can even connect the dots, or like, why is this water leading to this muscle injury? And now I'm actually passionate about illustrating that for young people who still think they need to eat and drink milk and eat chicken for strong muscles. Like, I'm very passionate about connecting the dots between why that acidic lifestyle is actually contributing to how come you're getting injured every week.
Wow.
And it's not just lifting the weights that's getting you injured, you know?
Yeah.
So there's that big whole ball of wax of the quality of eating and how healthy you can really truly be, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. I'm a preschool teacher, and we have somewhat standardized snacks that we feed the children, and I've heard comments from them that they're parroting from somewhere saying, oh, milk is muscle food. And so I'm curious, the children that the youth that you're in touch with, what are the ages? And also, like, how are you connecting with them? Is it through personal business? Are you being called into schools?
I want to be, my goal is to be called into schools. Right now, it's so crazy. The network that I'm part of as part of my job allows me to get in touch with a lot of kids. As in, I have this network of, like, my boss has like 3 to 5 locations, 3.5 locations where he runs boot camps where like hundreds of people come throughout the week. And so now I'm part of this community where parents are entrusting me to personal train their kids. So not only do I work with these youth on a one-on-one basis with using fitness as a vehicle, but there are parents and principals who have helped lose weight who let me talk to their whole middle school, and who were like, hey, come into my school. I'll give you my kids for an hour, you know. And so I've given a few talks, and what I've basically used to influence kids is all of the performing arts. So I can rap, I can sing, I can dance, break dance. I'm learning to do all these things better and better now that I have a real reason. That as soon as I start dropping into the arts, all of the kids become captivated. So I don't have exactly a nutrition program for kids. You can't really affect kids' nutrition. You really have to get into the parents' minds, because it doesn't matter if Billy knows about fruitarianism. You know, his mom is still buying the groceries. So that's a different angle there. And I don't really talk to kids about nutrition. I talk to kids about how eating your fruits and vegetables will make you a better singer, dancer, ninja, athlete, or whatever motivates kids. So I'm just being the example. Like, kids don't know people who eat only fruits and vegetables. So we have to like show and show what the example is. We can't just say these things because there's an information lockdown on any type of information that's opposing the mainstream establishment. So we have to kind of be the example, you know?
I connect with you so much there. I take juices in, whether I make them or get them from the local juice bar, and the children always gather around to smell my juices. They're like, can I smell it? And so I make sure that they see me, enjoying it. Yeah, and being with it, and eating more mindfully as well. I'm curious, you mentioned that your diet is around 90% raw fruits. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah, could you talk a little bit about like
well,
how you eat? And
well, so my diet, here's the thing. I've healed from any kind of disease that would have been on my tail if I continued my old ways. So I really have had no, up to this point, motivation to learn the transitionary steps between the standard American diet and fruit. Meaning, when I discovered fruit, I had already been on this journey of eating clean to the point where I could transition to the fruit and eat 90% fruit without any problems. That being said, I still don't know about all the ways you can use plants to eat that's not either fruit or vegan junk food. So in that sense, I'm still like a student, because all I know is fruit and junk food right now. And so I'm on this path of learning, not for myself, because again, I really, and we talked about UT, so I really, like, my health isn't like at the point where I want to do it for myself, but to help other people. I'm grown to this point where I want to learn how to use like the salads and the greens and the cooked vegetables and the stewed fruits in a way that can help other people transition who weren't as lucky as me to be clean at this point, to where I could take and eat 90% fruit without problems, you know.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I definitely still need to have a lot to learn about, you know, just getting more out of the plants, getting more out of the salads, getting the right food combinations down, in a way that won't slow your detox, you know, things like that. So, but yeah, but my journey started with experimentations with heavy fasting and water fasting. So,
Wow.
um, and I've been lucky enough to have a brother who was deeply into experimenting with meditation and fasting before I was even like before I went to prison. We were
Wow.
already experimenting with fasting because he was just so into the like what is the peak possibility of human spirituality and human consciousness, right? He was like that when he was young, so obviously there's something more going on here. So yeah, you might want to interview our brother soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother's in our same network. He's on Facebook, and
Okay.
we're all connected. Yeah.
We are all connected.
Yes. Yeah, we are.
So
Yeah.
when you got out of prison, was your
Mhm.
brother like one of your kind of go-to people when you got out to reconnect?
Oh yeah. So like me and my brother just got more and more close when I went to prison, because before that, he was the weird spiritual guy, and I was trying to be a gang member, right? And so it was opposite ends of the world. And when I got to
Um,
prison, he really got a hold of me because I was no longer distracted, and so he was able to send me all these books. He was sending me books by Eric Pepin. He sent me books like The Navigator. He sent me books on meditation,
yeah.
um, and so we got a fire truck. And so I started experimenting with meditation as a way to leave my current situation. So meditation for me, and this was even
Mm.
even in juvenile hall. My brother had told me like, you don't have to be here. You can be anywhere you want. Just close your eyes. And then he started to get me to do all these
Mm.
exercises in juvenile hall. And then when I went to prison, I started committing to the meditation as if it was part of my fitness program. And I ended up coming away with this perspective of fitness that was more holistic. By the time I got out of prison, I was already like into exercise, but since then, I understand exercise is just like one part of a whole lot of like pieces to the
Yeah.
puzzle, right? Right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, been very fortunate to have a brother that's highly into this subject matter too.
Wow. I have a kind of tricky question for you.
Sure.
So if for the rest of your life you could only do one of the following things, what would be the most valuable to you? Would it be meditation, exercise, or eating healthy? And you could only have one of those.
Oh wow. Okay. Meditation, exercise, or eating health. I would choose meditation, because if deep breathing was involved in the meditation, then that can actually, that if you really take like the big grand scale look at things, meditation is exercise and it's also eating,
Wow.
because we eat the pranayama, and the deep, if you, anybody who's been into deep breathing exercise meditation knows that it can be quite the strenuous exercise
Yeah.
just sitting there. So I would take meditation because that would be all the eating and exercise that I needed.
Wow.
I had
And
to pick one. Yeah.
could you talk more about your experience with meditation, in particular with the breath, and like maybe what
Yeah.
what your meditative practices look like on a day-to-day basis? What's really amazing for you?
Yeah, it's rough. My practice is like the storm, like the ocean. Like it's wild, you know. Like it goes in and out. I stop for months. I go deep for months, and it's definitely not where it's gonna be when I'm 40. Just put it like that. Like it's going through like stormy waters right now, because like what happens is I get to like the point where I stop for so long, where I'm stressed out, where I have no choice but to
Mm.
dive deep into the meditation and then I end up recommitting and then uncommitting and recommitting, uncommitting. It's been this love-hate relationship to where now I crave the meditation because I've pushed it and pulled it away so much throughout the years that it's at the point where, well, you can call it the Wim Hof holds or the pranayama. Like, I'm starting to learn to apply it at all times, and whether I'm talking, training, eating, I'm starting to learn that it's okay to do it while you're eating, after you're eating, before you eat. I'm learning that it's okay to do it, the breath holds, like while you're exercising. I've started experimenting with it during yoga and doing intense breath holds at the deepest part of stretches, and I'm finding that it's saving me so much time. Like, I used to have to stretch for 20 minutes, but if I apply the breath holds during the stretch, I have to stretch for half the time. So it's getting pretty amazing, and it's like I'm starting to realize that we, like, because I've gotten to the point where I've been so busy that let me rewind. I started to commit where I was doing 1 or 2 hours a day. And I started getting myself used to like 2 hours of straight meditation in the morning. And I setting the bar higher and higher and higher. And then it was getting to where when I couldn't do it, I was getting disappointed and frustrated. And then I would miss a day, and then I would skip a day. And then I started to realize that you can do the breath holds and the meditative breathing during any exercise, any activity, at any time. And you never have no time to breathe, because if you stop breathing, you would die, right? So we obviously can take any breath that we're taking and extend it. We obviously can take any breath we're taking and pause it. We can obviously take any breath we're extending and exhale more. So it's kind of this culmination of learning that each and every breath can be meditative, and you can kind of control how much attention you pay to each and every breath. And that's like the realization that all is meditation.
Wow.
Everything is meditation. Some things take more of your focus, some things take less of your focus, but in your zone.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that like there's no excuse, like that there's no time to take deep breaths, and it just made me curious. Like, that's pretty deep. It makes me curious how your relationship with conscious breathing affects your relationship with time, and how, like, I'm trying to form the question, but yeah, I guess.
Well,
Oh, go ahead.
no, well, since your awareness of, like, we gotta get flim flam now. Okay, so
Let's go.
since the rhythm of the universe is in the breathing, and basically you can say that when you concentrate on your breathing, you focus on the rhythm of the universe, because if you stopped breathing, you would fall out of the rhythm with the universe, meaning you died. So if you know that your life is based upon this rhythm with the universe, and you start to increase the breadth or the depth of that rhythm, and you start to increase your awareness of that rhythm, you start to be able to control, like, the gears of time. Meaning, I can physically use breathing exercises to make 5 minutes seem like 30 minutes to me in my mind. And isn't what time means to us in our mind the most important aspect of time? That's really the only aspect that exists. So if I can use breathing exercises to make 5 minutes seem like 30 minutes, and at the same token, I can use breathing exercises to make 2 hours seem like 2 minutes. I can then say that through the breathing exercises and the awareness of the breathing exercises, I gain control or become a master of time. I mean, because time really only exists in all of our perspectives, and we all contribute the same energy to believing that it's 12 noon, So, yes, I love this stuff. I love talking like this, because it makes you have to use your heart and your mind to grasp something. You can't just be cognitive,
Yes, I believe you called it flu flim flam.
Yeah, that's my what's it called, my signature term now, because I just talk on my vlog, on my Instagram live. I just go live for 1 hour and I just let it go. I'm not scripted. I just let it go, and sometimes I say things that reverberate back with the audience that never get let go. And that was one of the terms that I used that nobody ever let me put it down. So it's kind of like taking on a life of its own. So
amazing. So you're sharing just like raw information.
it's morphing. it's morphing into something else. So what started out as me wanting to have a verbal notepad to write a book with, like I just like, I'm gonna go live so that I can record these notes so I can finally write this book, because it's eating me alive, you know. Like I have to write, I have to contribute something, I have to give something, you know, I have to do something with all the experience I have. And what it turned into was this back and forth with this audience. And what it morphed into was me sharing the things that I've always wanted to talk about, but was afraid that people wouldn't want to buy it. So now, I still want to write a book, but what's happening organically is the book is going to be what me and my tribe create and need the most. It's not going to be something that I make so I can sell people. It's going to be something that we come up with so we can further the message and the cause, you know. It's so much bigger than my initial like need to be an author. You know, I was like, I got to be an author so I could give a speech. So what? So you could what? So you could push a message, you know. So yeah, still on that journey, but now I go live almost every day and I go off on topics that come to me like cosmically. Like it's crazy. Like I get called to talk about different subjects and information comes to me. It's like what anybody's saying, like when I set my intention to do a show on a certain topic, the things I see on social media and the things that come up in conversation with the various people that are in my DMs and comments gives me the material I need to channel or to talk about. Right. So I say I'm a channel for nature, because when you're dipping into the internet, right, what are you really tapping into? You know, and when I set my intention to talk about, for example, farmed fish and wild caught fish and why both of them are a bad option, and I set the intention and then start running into articles about both, and then all I have to do is like read this article, read that article, and that's an hour of content. Like it's become like super easy for me to do like an hour a day actually of live, of like just unlimited topics. I've come up with my own like kind of version of the chakra system and how they're all elemental. So I've mixed alchemical topics with esoteric, like you know, the chakras, so the ancient Eastern topics of energy with alchemical topics, which is the Western hidden knowledges, and we put it together and ascertain that all the chakras have elemental signatures, and I just talk about all these crazy stuff, these crazy things.
Wow.
You know?
I'm wondering if you could share some here about the chakras and about how they affect us, and if there's any that you think are more important to, or like foundational, that you should start working with before others, or how you feel about
I love it. You know, the chakra that you need to work on is the one that you're at. So obviously I can't just say work on this, because everyone is at a different place in their life. The one to always work on is your grounding. I mean, obviously everybody can ground. Right now in my Fruit Feast group, we're doing 7 days of grounding. Earth days today, air is tomorrow. We're going to get some fresh air, fire, water. So we're going to go through the elements and ground through the elements. So what I love doing is corresponding people's idea of what's flu flim flam and bringing it down to earth for them in a very physical sense. So if I tell you that the root chakra is an earth chakra, and that the way to commune with earth will energize your root chakra, and if you get your feet in the dirt, you are actually communing with the elements of earth, with feet, which feeds your root chakra, which contributes to why when you're grounded, you're also representative of earth, which is immovable, which is actually really grounded. So if we move up to the sacral chakra, which we would call a water chakra, because the sacral, it has to do with your emotions or your sexual energy. And we know that, well, if your glands are dehydrated and they're calcified, and you're dehydrated, you're not going to have control of your emotions. And so I like to bring it home that hydrating your glands or communing with water is going to increase the energy of your sacral chakra. And then we move up to the solar plexus, and the solar plexus would be air. So deep breathing, and if you really think about it, flexing the muscles of the solar plexus while doing deep breathing is actually consuming the air. So you take the actual physical air into your solar plexus chakra and it drives. And I tell people that try to find me one person who has a super nice set of abs, who doesn't have a lot of willpower, and I connect your idea of strong abs, deep breathing, the element of air, with willpower, because the solar plexus chakra is your center of willpower. And I just love corresponding. We can go up the chain. Let's go to the heart chakra, which is a fire chakra. And so when you stare into the sun, your pineal gland turns the sunlight into the neurotransmitters that your brain and your heart actually need, your thyroid gland needs, and the gland that represents your heart chakra is your adrenal glands, or your energy. And so sun gazing, which is what I've been doing this whole time, is a way to power the passions of your heart. And anybody who sun gazes for long enough is going to start to reconnect with their passions, or their heart. We move up to the throat chakra, which is again another air chakra, because again the throat is powered by air. So by literally me speaking, the air is passing through my vocal cords. So the throat and the solar plexus are both air chakras tied together. So if you want to power your throat, obviously it's deep breathing. And you can sing if your throat chakra gets strong enough. If you power your throat chakra not long enough, you're going to end up having the power to speak your message, as we tie it back into emotional. And then we move up to the third eye, which is another water chakra. I correspond water with awareness. Water being the element that falls and turns into whatever container it's in. So as your ability to see increases and you power your third eye through the power of awareness, you can fit into any environment that you go into, because you see the people, you see the situation. You can, well, if it's time to become violent, you can become violent. If it's time to become peaceful, you can become peaceful, because you have this awareness, which is what water represents. And then we end with the crown, which is just like we started at the root. It is your earth crown. So the crown is the earth chakra. It is our receiver for cosmic energy. So when you ground, all right, you're actually powering your root and your crown, okay? Because this is our earth crown and this is our root chakra. So so I give people very physical ways to power what people used to think of as flu, flim, flam, woo, woo, chakra, this and that. No, I'm bringing it down to earth and saying, like, the sun, the moon, the water, the air, it's all connected to the systems of our body and our organs, and we can power ourselves through connecting with nature. And I explain how the minerals in the fruits are grounding. The water in the fruit gives you water. The biophotons in the fruit gives you fire. And so you have and you have all the elements in the fruit. And so, like, that's part of it. That's part of the connection.
I've had like 4 really good questions come up through your sharing, and
great.
I can't remember all of them, but I'm going to be a little selfish and ask one that particularly pertains to me. So you mentioned that the solar plexus, the third chakra, is related to breathing and willpower. And if someone is struggling in their life with willpower, trying to change a habit or adapt to a new lifestyle, what would you recommend for increasing willpower in a way that is also kind to ourselves? Because I know for some people, and for myself, there can be this like militant kind of ego voice that gets involved. And so I'm just wondering, like, what a integrated, grounded willpower looks like to you.
Yeah, sure. So we can take just yet another another playbook to overlay over this and say that, you know, if according to alchemy and the hidden Western knowledge, the elements had psychological perspectives with them. I already gave it away. The elements had psychological aspects to them. Fire being focus, water being awareness, earth being what's it called, determination, and then air being perspective. So if I know that air equals perspective and somebody is lacking willpower, I would say that you need more perspective. Now, there are different ways to get perspective, but the main thing is, if you think about air, what does a bird do? They get a perspective by rising up. So you can take rising up in a lot of ways, but I would say for you to rise up to your higher self, see your entire life from a bird's eye view, like a bird would look down on the terrain and see, wow, like that's where that's going. When you're on the ground, you can't see that what you're doing is affecting what's going to happen 10 years from now. But if you did some work that can include maybe going into meditation and going into your past and seeing how far you've grown, maybe going into meditation and going into your future and see how far you're going to go, and which would give you a balanced perspective on what the struggles of today are leading to. Because somebody who doesn't have willpower, it means they don't have the will to struggle. It means you don't have the will to push. Why should I push, right? And if you gain a clear sight of your future, which would include the ability to power your third eye, you're going to have to activate that third eye if you're going to want to go into the future and see what you're capable of, or see what can come. And you're going to have to dive into those emotional memories, maybe those root chakra memories, to go into your childhood and see like how far you've grown. But that's kind of like a spiritual, so the memories and the dreams, that's like the spiritual work of gaining perspective. And then there's the physical work of freaking work your abs out. I would tell somebody who doesn't have willpower to freaking plank for 10 minutes and tell me if you don't gain a little willpower. Like, it takes a little willpower to deadlift your body weight. So let's start there. I would say, like, let's work your core, really. Let's work that chakra for real. And see if that doesn't give you the willpower to excel in other areas of life. Yeah, I just love it. I love corresponding. You know, we can do this all day because the chakras have elements. The elements have consciousness aspects.
Yes.
You know,
it connects everything.
It connects a unified theory. Yes.
Wow. So, wow, I have so many questions. It's hard to pull out which one I feel is most important.
Go for it.
Okay, so as far as I guess, what kind of people would you, like, what states of health, like, would someone be in where you would recommend for them to fast? What kind of fasting do you recommend, and how long do you think people should fast?
Oh, this is awesome, because I am struggling through this right now of trying to help people get to this point, and I've made the mistake of just trying to like get people to fast, you know, and we have to go back to the text, because Arnold Ehret wrote about this. He wrote about, back in 1922, the state and the condition of the average person was that if the average person was to fast, they would get sick, and it could potentially be harmful. So what he said was that what somebody does has to do strictly with how they currently eat and how they currently behave. And how long they fast has to do totally with everything they're currently doing right now. Meaning there's no way we can give a blanket statement of like, let's all do a 7-day fast challenge. We can't do it. It has to be a one-on-one thing. And so I'm slowly realizing that when it comes to like fruit feast, like eat as much fruit is my thing now that I'm doing, which anybody can do now. Which I realized what anybody can do is eat as much fruit as you want, as you can. And don't worry about the rest of it. And let's just respect the fruit window, 3 hours separation between any fruit and any food. And that's something that's harmless, that will load you up with vitamins and minerals that maybe in a few weeks, or a month, you're going to want to try a 1 to 2 day fast. So I have people that I'm DMing on one-on-one that are saying, hey man, I'm feeling good. I've been eating the fruit. I'm ready to try a 48-hour water fast. All right, great. That's a good first step. So it's really like, so the answer is, it's a one-on-one basis, and it depends on, you know, how long you've been at it and the level of toxicity. Arnold Ehret said that the average person would take between 1 to 3 years of rigorous fasting and doing the mucusless diet healing system to clear out everything. So all of these people on YouTube making videos after 1 year or 6 months, and they haven't really put a system in place, are really misleading, right? Now we know.
Wow. And you mentioned behavior, gauging how long people can fast based on their behavior. And I'm wondering, when you say behavior, what do you mean?
Well, behavior, like basically your habits, you know, your lifestyle. So it's anything, drugs, alcohol, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So the more of those behaviors or habits that you have, the harder it is going to be to fast. Like, so to fast would be to stop doing all of those things at the same time. If you just think about somebody who, like, let's say you smoke you drink alcohol, you drink wine, you eat fast food. And so those are all their own separate addictions. And so those are all behaviors. And let's say you don't meditate. So that's a behavior. Let's say you don't get sunlight. And another behavior you have is you wear sunglasses and you wear sunscreen every time you go outside. So these are starting to add up, because when you fast, you start to move all of those things, right? Let's say you use shampoo every day and conditioner every day. So that's another thing that's going to have to start getting moved as soon as you start fasting. So the more you really dive into it, the more you realize that, like, we need to make an approach to fasting, which one of my friends calls it pre-detox, where there's a whole thing where you're just dropping all the old behaviors one at a time first before you even start to fast. If you smoke cigarettes every day and you try to stop and fast and stop eating, it's no wonder that you could possibly die, because you're dealing with the overburden of your system with all of those stored up toxins at the same time. So yeah, so it's not an easy answer to how long someone should fast. It depends on their lifestyle, and they should find somebody they trust to coach them through it, who has experience, possibly, you know.
Wow. So thank you. Yeah, so for people who are maybe undertaking their first experiences with fasting and having a lot of emotional stuff come up, because I noticed that for me and some people in my life, it's like food can contribute to a sense of self and a sense of identity. And so when you take food and eating and the act of eating, the whole ritual around it out of the equation, a lot of emotions can surface, a lot of memories, feelings. And I'm curious for you and for clients of yours, like, what kind of processes and techniques would you recommend for dealing with those emotions and those stories and those thought patterns?
Well, it's really our opportunity and our responsibility to recreate new patterns and new traditions, because it's like postpartum depression, like when you're detaching from these traditions that you identified with, you've identified with these ways. So it's really, well, you can flip it on its head and look at it as a positive thing. Like, you can take this, and you know what, and cutting yourself away from even family traditions is not like a fun thing, and stepping away from family traditions is not fun. When I'm speaking from like my own pain now, it's not fun. But the upside is, like, we get to create new positive relationships with food, or the lack of food. So it's like a stepping through the veil of, like, did you realize that the time and energy that we were spending to cook and to eat and to park and to wait and to eat and to wait at the restaurants can be now redirected to your passions? So this is just now how I would be coaching somebody through this, who's like struggling with, like, their whole family eats like this, and I'm just like, well, like I said, this path is an opportunity, because you can get esoteric and call it creating the new earth, but we're just creating our new tradition, and this culture, which was so tied to eating, we need to be able to look at it from a higher perspective, from a bird's eye view, and say that, okay, that was a time where they did that, and this is not just the way. So we're zooming out and saying, like, the culture that was attached to food, that had to eat all the time, and I'm still part of this culture. I still like to smoke weed, get high, and eat munchies, but I can still be a part of this culture and recognize that, okay, that's a time where we're doing that, and we're not always going to be in that. We're not always going to be doing that. So that's another thing of, when you start to share online, people think that you're perfect, and no, I'm sharing about things that I'm struggling with. Okay, so don't think that just because I don't post my ramen noodles that it's not going down. Like I'm promoting fruit because fruit might save someone's life, and I may not be perfect, but I need to speak on what I know, right? There's this responsibility that I have, that now I have this new understanding.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Because I
Yes, no
noticed
problem.
when I started my fruit journey in August 2017, I just remember that kind of militant voice that I had mentioned that tries to substitute for willpower, that egoic part of myself that is very like, do this. Like when I first started following these fruitarians online,
Mhm.
I really did get the impression that they were perfect, which I now understand through self-reflection and knowing myself more and connecting with others, that no one is perfect. You know, we're all
Mhm.
human. Um,
Mhm.
but I just
Yep.
really appreciate you sharing that, because I think that is, from my perspective, I think that's also important to hear. And for me, it's actually more encouraging for me to stay
Mhm.
dedicated to that lifestyle when I know that the people who are promoting the lifestyle also have their struggles.
Yeah, I immediately, like, as soon as I posted, made this video about the fish, I got more than one response about people feeling like guilty when they ate anything but fruit, and I was like, wait, that's
Mm.
not what I want to push out. If you feel guilt, well, know that, first of all, know that I don't only eat fruit, okay, and I've had to come to terms with the fact that I'm not ready to be 100% fruit. So I've had to come to that in myself and accept myself eating things other than fruit. So the last thing I want you to do is go to where I was just at, where you feel guilty eating anything but fruit. So I had
Oh.
to let her know, and immediately let her know that just the fact that you know this information entails great progress, and you need to let the habits come as a result of the understanding, not just like look at my pictures and try to mimic the
Yeah.
pictures, but to get the experience. Like, feel how it feels to be 50% fruit, and then feel how it feels to lose that and then want to get it back, and then feel how it feels to be 90% fruit, and then feel how it feels to go back to alcohol after all of that and then lose the energy that you had, because that's what it took for me to really just commit to being 90%, you know, like to have
Mm.
it and then get it taken away, to where I don't want to tolerate these lows anymore, you know, like I don't want to tolerate the low energy now that I know that I can well use fruit and sunlight, you know, to get this level of energy that I never
Yes.
got, you know.
I love that. And it reminds me of something. I told a friend of mine that just this definition of a healing lifestyle that I'm working with right now, in my own words, is that a healing lifestyle is a lifestyle where you wake up not needing to recover from how you've treated yourself the day before. And I'm curious what a healing lifestyle means to you, if you could give it a definition.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, I love this question because a healing lifestyle would be to recognize that the body is the healer,
Mm.
and to know for certain, and to own how much that the body is the healer. And so, and in a certain sense, you can only get to this through experience. Because if you only base on what we're presented with in this world, the body is a broken, breaking down thing that has it's an expiration date. But from experience, you can find and feel the truth that the body is the healer. And so the healing lifestyle is just to honor that, recognize that. If I know that the body is a healer, how many things am I going to do today that will throw my pH off balance, that will affect the oxidation of my body, that will affect me taking more shallow breaths than deep breaths, because that's literally what healing is. To take more deep breaths than shallow breaths, you're on the healing lifestyle, right? So for me, the healing lifestyle is balance. To be, because if we bring the soul into this, which is not a lot of people bring the soul into this, but the soul is here to experience. The soul recognizes novel experience. So if you ask the soul what it wants to do, it wants to do something new. So as healthy as you want to be, as balanced as you want to be, as positive as you want to be, the soul came to play. Is that just something that I preach on my thing? Is that like
Mm.
your soul came here to dance and to eat and to experience. See, so even though you want to fast on a mountain and reach nirvana in the physical sense that you feel light, like your soul has lived 1,000 lives. So maybe your soul wants to do something that it's never done before. And maybe that might mean going to the mall with your friends and having an experience. See, so if we bring the soul into it, we can understand that soul food is just an experience of eating
Mm.
that gives your soul a new experience, which is really what our soul is here to do. So that really balances out the whole healing lifestyle, because
Wow.
if I'm with my brothers and they want to eat this and I haven't seen them in 5 years. Well, this food that you said that's toxic is gonna heal my heart with my brothers, and heal our relationship that we haven't seen each other in a long time. So there's this whole balancing aspect of the worldly things that we've already like shunned, like this is all unhealthy. Well, it's not. Food ain't just food. It's a vehicle of connection between people. So like we have to give that its light too, you know.
Mm. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Hmm.
I had an awesome question and it blew with the wind somewhere.
No
um,
worries, no worries.
yeah, I really enjoy your presence and your message, and I just feel really lucky to get to talk with you tonight.
Oh, thank you. No problem. I love, I love,
Yeah.
I love this. I love this. So, yeah. So this is being recorded for Alkalise to Realize.
Yes,
You
yes.
want to tell me about how you got involved with them? I'm curious.
Yeah, well, I was just connected with Lee and his partner, Annelise, online, and we were just sharing and talking about fasting and distilled waters and different things like that health-wise. And I reached out because I did a 44-day juice fast, and
Oh wow.
I am coming from a space where no one that I know in real life fasts. And so I found online community. I was listening to Andrew Norton Weber and some different people, and
Hmm.
I ended up finding a group on Facebook for people to connect. And
Hmm.
I just reached out. I reached out when I was high. I reached out when I was low. And
Hmm.
um, yeah, and
That's
so
amazing.
yeah, and it's just such a gift. Actually, I recently on Saturday I did my first ever sweat lodge with sacred medicines, and
Hmm.
I
Wow.
felt so alive. Like I felt like my whole being was just a walking prayer. And I got the
Wow.
message from Lee to interview you, and I was like,
Hmm.
of course. Like, yeah, I want to spread love. I want to spread information. I want to spread health, healing, honesty.
Hmm.
Honesty. My spiritual teacher is Byron Katie, and she says, not to directly quote her, it's a paraphrasing, but it's not about being spiritual, it's about being honest. And so I love the opportunity to hear other people's flu, fluff, flam, and all of it
Right.
because it's
Right.
real. It's real.
Yeah. 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 Well, it's a beautiful time because like we now have access to multiple teachers from multiple worldviews at the same time. So for those with eyes to see and ears to hear, it's a beautiful time to kind of create our new way of looking at things. Like I'm not gonna take your old way of looking at the world as like just a rock floating through, and you're lucky to be here and lucky to go and see you next time and all of that. Like there's this whole grand story that if you just take one like gander at just some of the new theories out here and some of the new information or old information that's getting rediscovered, it's a real magical place if you have the eyes to see it and if you're open-minded enough to entertain it, for 1 second. How much do we entertain? We entertain all the Marvel movies, we entertain all of that, we
Mm.
give it all of our energy, but to entertain this idea that history was a lie and that it was actually a lot more fairies, dragons, wizards, warlocks, and queens and kings than we thought, and and magic is under our noses being wielded, like, and there's this great light and dark frequency war going on, and it's all on the level of the soul, and it's just the most interesting movie story fairy tale ever happening right now. And it's going to keep going, so it's wonderful to be aware of all that. It's a blessing, really. It's not
Yes.
windy anymore too, so.
Yes, and what I heard in there, um, and a question came up in my mind is just
Hmm.
how deeply are you breathing in each moment? Uh, and how like that just came up for me, like as far as
Hmm.
how much of the
Hmm.
magic are you seeing? How deeply are you
Right,
breathing in each moment?
right, right. When you connect the breathing with this, like we said, when you're connecting with the rhythm of the universe, you're connecting with that magic or that symphony, you know. And so is it magic or is it just hyper aligned, you know? So when you start to be so synchronistic that things just flow together for you, that somebody just thinks that you're just really lucky, but is it lucky or are you just really aligned with yourself? And do you really think the fruit has nothing to do with all of this? Like, in the fasting has nothing to do with this, because there is this disconnect that people have between spirituality and health. And that reigniting of that connection is part of the awakening. See, so the people that are keeping their eyes closed to health are the same people that are they're keeping their eyes closed to the awakening or the new earth. It's all one and the same. So our return to our health is our return to our divinity, our spirituality, you know. So to me, it's very all well connected.
Wow. So if somebody was meditating, say 30 minutes a day, like have just a nice moderate meditation practice, and they're into health and fitness, but they're still eating red meats and cooked starches and stuff like that, how would you approach them?
Well, you just described me. You just described me in 2014, and the thing that got me was, what's the health? Cowspiracy, and what's the other documentaries? Go ahead and label it, because like anybody who watches those documentaries with a clear conscience will be able to start taking the steps. Okay, and it's not about quitting stuff outright. It's not about cutting out food groups. It's about taking. Okay, so like I was saying, it's not about cutting out whole food groups. It's about taking the steps, because when you take the steps, you'll be surprised when you end up on top of a mountain. But nobody that's on the mountain tried to take the mountain on their first step. They took one step at a time. So just because I am a fruitarian, don't think that where you're at, you can say, oh, I'm a fruitarian too. No, like I've taken like serious steps where like I'm like, all right, in and out with the meat. All right, some meat today, some meat tomorrow, no meat this week, and like gone through the journey. So if somebody still eats red meat, just educate yourself with the truth, or just follow me, because I'm going to keep coming with the truth, because I'm starting to realize that not everybody has read everything I read, and not everybody has watched everything I've watched, and not everybody has gone through my journey. So I need to go back to these things I discovered years ago, pull back the articles and the data, and start reading them on my show. Which is why every Sunday I read Arnold Ehret's Mucusless Diet Healing System. I read like 20 pages every Sunday, and we disseminate it. Wow. You know, and because I read that book 5 years ago, and it's now become the foundation for how I judge the medical system, which is a very different way of judging the medical system from the average person. So here I was talking shit about the medical system with this understanding that Arnold Ehret has given me, and people didn't understand me. People were like, you just sound filled with hate, and you sound mad. Well, I'm not mad, I'm just frustrated. If you look at what's going on from this perspective, you would get the same way as me. And so now I'm going back and going over the foundational knowledge of like, okay, what did Arnold Ehret say about the public? What did he say about our digestive system? How is it different than what the medical is saying? And just bring it down to earth. Yeah.
Oh, so Gerald, I'm thinking that I need to get an Instagram back so I can be in church with you on Sunday.
Oh, it's Sunday church. It's fun. It is it is started off. I mean, I'll still get some days where, you know, it's just me talking to myself, but it's such an ingrained habit that I'm ready to go every day now. Like well, you could say that I've blasted open my throat chakra. So like, and for the past 5 years, it was my goal. Like I have this throat chakra pendant, which is like representative of the energy, and I've recognized that. Yeah, and I've recognized that my superpower is speaking. So I had this focus on the throat chakra for like the past however many years. So the fact that I can now go live for an hour a day is no accident. I've been working on it, and I realized that now I have to use this voice to like help other people get their own shine on, however that is, you know. That's what it's all about. I want people. So I'm like it's like you have superpowers. I'm a super throat chakra guy, and you have to find out what you are. You know, like it's like you know, we all get like we're like Marvel characters in this. You know, when you really look at it, you know.
Yeah, I've been focusing a lot on my heart I feel like a super heart chakra superhero, and I'd like to focus more on my throat. And I just want to say I feel hugely inspired from talking to you, and this is really such a gift for me to be able to do this with you. And
oh, thank you so much.
yeah, and you know, I was given no time specifications, but it's been about an hour, so
Okay.
I want to wrap up, and if you want to share where people can find you on social media.
Yeah. So my phone is actually running out of battery. So
Perfect.
the Instagram where it all goes down. My show is called Power of Transformation, and I upload all my Instagram lives onto YouTube. And right now, I don't have a YouTube my own YouTube name. But if you search Gerald Guevara on YouTube, you'll find me. Otherwise, the best place to get to me is on Instagram, because on my Instagram, all my YouTube and all of that is linked. Sorry, I just had to swat a spider. But my Instagram is based in the plants. That is at BASED_in_the_plants. So based in the plants with all underscores. That's where I do my show, and it's pretty much going down every day at this point. I'm talking about something every day. Yeah.
Oh.
And then I got you on Facebook, so we're there, and we got the networks there.
Thank you so much from my heart, from all my chakras. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, May. It was a pleasure. I love it. I'm ready to talk anytime.
Thank you so much, and I'm excited to be a part of this and to support you in putting your voice out there.
Thank you, May. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.